Former Kansas City Mayor Richard Berkeley passed away yesterday, and it's been a big topic of conversation, obviously, in and around Kansas City. He is 92 years old, the city's first Jewish mayor, and its last Republican mayor as well. No one knows this town on the news scene like our next guest, Micheal Mahoney, Channel 9 KMBC, is on KCMO. Mike, good morning.
Hey.
Always good to have you here. Let's just start, big picture. The legacy of Mayor Berkeley should be what?
That he was a consensus builder. He was rarely the guy out front leading the charge, but he was a guy that tried to find a consensus and enough of a direction to go, and then help try to form it, and then B, lead it. And he was very well liked mayor in Kansas City for 12 years. The only three-term mayor in the city's history.
Now, what about take us through his role during the Hyatt collapse? What role did he play, not just in terms of infrastructure-wise, but in terms of being the leader of the town at that time?
Well, that was probably a good illustration of his ability to build a consensus. Number one, he was not there that night when that happened in the summer of 81. But he was, he was hosting a party. But when he was alerted that there had been this accident at the Hyatt, he immediately came down and was on the scene for a while. Most importantly was that he, in the days immediately after that, pressed for a federal investigation of what had happened to the skywalks, and that irritated a number of power players inside of Kansas City, including people that would be considered political allies of Berkeley. But that federal report that came out the following year from the National Bureau of Standards probably remains the definitive explanation of what happened at the walkway. And Berkeley was also was really attuned and knew lots of people and was a very approachable guy. And I think there were a lot of people that during that time didn't hesitate to walk up to him and express their feelings about, hey, I knew somebody there, or, my son or my daughter worked down there, or something like that. His approachability was one of the things that made him a successful politician.
Micheal Mahoney is joining us on KCMO, talking about the life and the legacy of former Kansas City Mayor Richard Berkeley, 79 to 91, three-term mayor, last Republican mayor as well in this town. So what about, leading the city? You mentioned really interesting stuff there in the wake of the walkway collapse. What about leading the city emotionally out of that and through the 1980s? Take us back to that time for Kansas City, what it was like, and what role he was playing in trying to transform the city.
Well, he was he tried to build a consensus to continue to move excuse me, I'm fighting the end of a cold here. The end of the 70s, where there was a sort of a boom time in Kansas City. Bartle Hall was constructed or set in motion during his time in office. So was expansion of the zoo, a number of things like this. Number of office buildings, big office buildings were built in there, and so his ability to connect with everybody in town was a key asset for him. Like I said, and he wasn't the hand holder in chief as much as he was a steady leader during that time, and quite frankly, the collective confidence of the city was in bad shape for a while, obviously, after having a massive accident where 114 people were killed.
Now, it's interesting. You think about the politics of that time. He beat Bruce Watkins. Of course, he's got the center named after him here in town. Black councilman, There was, as I understand it, in reading a lot of the background on him, some bitterness, I guess you would say, amongst minority groups, but he did build that trust across racial lines during his tenure. That stuff, in today's political environment on either side of the aisle, that may not happen today. So how did he go about doing that, and how much did that play a role in his success as a 3-term mayor?
He played a lot of success in it, and he did it the way Dick Berkeley tried to do a lot of things. He sought places where there was agreement. He sought ways to accommodate people, and that to get everybody moving together in the same direction. One of the things that happened during Berkeley's time in office was there was a jazz commission that was formed, and Kansas City began to, at that time, I know it sounds a little strange now, fully come to terms with its jazz heritage and its place in American contemporary music. It's a place where artists grew and came to grow, especially in the 1930s and 40s. And it was those sorts of things that, again, allowed him to reach across what some people would think, especially today, might be considerable political obstacles. That didn't happen. And then the other thing I want to mention here, Pete, real quick, is that I want to give you a story about how Dick Berkeley was a successful politician and a quality guy. He was a hopeless shutterbug. He often had a camera with him, and it was not unusual for him to take pictures of anybody and everybody and then print off the pictures. This is before the digital age. And then slap a little note on the back of the picture, stick it in the mail, and send it to you as just with warm regards, Dick Berkeley on it. Usually it was not a picture of him and you together. It was a picture of just you doing whatever you were doing. There are people all over Kansas City that will have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pictures that Dick Berkeley took of them at some event that they were both at. It was and it continued after his time in office. He was one of those guys, and that was one of the ways that he connected with people was he took their picture, and he did it the entire time I knew him. From 1981, 1984.
Wow. That's an interesting story because of, as you noted, the difference in technology then versus now. But now you'd have people like trying to sue the guy. Hey, I didn't approve you taking that photo of me. I mean, Michael, it is a different world. I mean, it's just crazy to think that if you did that today, you'd be on the front page of the papers and the newscast. A creepy mayor takes pictures of people. I mean, it'd be something ridiculous like that. It just shows you how different things are today versus 40 plus years ago now. That's
exactly.
Some story.
And he's a guy from a prior political time. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, and Mike, did he treat you okay as a pup reporter at the time in town?
Oh yeah. The only thing is, number one, his office was a mess. He never threw anything away. And then the other thing is that he often had this habit of ending any statement on an upswing. So he would say, "So I think this is a good idea," as opposed to saying, "I think this is a good idea." And as you know, Pete, ending a comment like that on an upswing tone, "I think this is a good idea," sometimes sounds incomplete when you try to pull it out and make the statement stand on its own. And he was notorious for ending his statements up on an uptone. It made it difficult for him. It made it difficult to cut an interview up with him. But it was a small, it was a small thing. He was good mayor. He was always pretty available. He sometimes wanted to retract something because he thought it might offend somebody, but it wasn't a big deal. He as a reporter, he was quite professional to work with.
Wow. Well, Mike, we appreciate you being here. I knew you could give perspective that nobody else in town could give on his passing, and we're grateful for the time, my friend. Have a great day and a great weekend.
Okay, thanks, Pete. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Talk to you soon. That is Micheal Mahoney, KMBC Channel 9 reporter.